This is Jocko podcast number 550 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
So that we know that leadership is the most challenging of endeavors. No doubt about that. And yet, you know what? It happens all day, every day. If you think about every capacity, every industry, every different team, right? Large, small, whether they're accomplishing some simple low-risk task or completing the most complex, dangerous, high-risk tasks imaginable, all that is done through leadership. All of it. Now, the Marine Corps, the military at large, I'm going to talk about the Marine Corps for a second, does this all day, every day. And in the Marine Corps, it's in every capacity. Not every job in the Marine Corps is hazardous, life risk, or high risk scenario. Some of it is simple, safe administrative tasks. They do have the other end of the spectrum, obviously combat, dangerous tasks that they're doing, missions, and they get it done. And much of this happens at the company level in the Marine Corps and in the Army, led by a company commander. These are officers that have been in the Marine Corps for maybe 8 to 10 years, something like that. And a company, generally speaking, is somewhere between 150 to 250 Marines, somewhere in there. Which is, when you think in the military everything is the same, do you think that? As a non-military person, if I said how many people are in a Marine Corps company, when you think, it's always 172. Yeah. I used to think that.
Yeah,
I used to think that.
Yeah, I think.
But the military, they make adjustments and they allow variables to dictate what they're going to do. So, but generally speaking, Marine Corps company is going to have between 150 to 250 Marines in it, and they do all kinds of different jobs. Obviously, you got your rifle company, you got your combat, right? Rifle company, weapons company, reconnaissance companies, light armored reconnaissance. You got combat assault companies. You got all kinds of things that their job is to close with and destroy the enemy. But then they also have headquarters company, which handles like the administrative stuff and the communications and the medical and logistical support for a battalion or for a regiment. You have combat engineer companies, which, by the way, see a ton of combat. Maintenance or supply companies, communication companies, intelligence companies. There's all these different companies that have different tasks, but regardless of what the task is, it's all executed through leadership, obviously. And the Marine Corps learned a lot of lessons at that company level. And they passed some of these lessons on through the Company Commander Handbook. And I was reviewing this the other day, reading through it, and I thought there's some lessons learned about leadership in here that are worth sharing. So this is, once again, the United States Marine Corps Company Commander's Handbook. And this thing, it was originally written in 1989, but there's been updates 2006 to up to 2010. And they say that this is a generic guide written for commanders or prospective commanders of company-level organizations. We designed it as a handy reference, which presents guidelines, advice, and time-tested lessons derived from years of experience in leading and commanding Marines. We did not design it to replace the need for an officer to study his profession or to supersede Marine Corps orders, directives, and manuals. And you can see this is it's kind of a bare bones, just putting out the word. Like, hey, this is a guidebook. Like, it's not the manual. It's a guidebook, little company commander handbook. And so this first part is talking to when you're preparing to go into command. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal in the Army and the Marine Corps, company command. It's a huge leadership position. This is, you get done with your platoon commander, and then you're going to have some kind of probably a disassociated tour at some point. They're going to come back and be company command. Above that's battalion. So this company command, these are the guys that are they're still in the mix, we'll say. And actually, a task unit in the SEAL teams is the equivalent of a company commander.
So the task unit commander?
Yes, task unit commander is an equivalent level, even though the task unit commander is less people. And in a lot of ways, the company commander in the Army or in the Marine Corps is much more responsibility because you have a lot more people. and you're going to be running all kinds of stuff. It's a little, even a platoon in the SEAL teams is like 15 to 20, maybe 25 people. And in the Army or the Marine Corps, it's like 40 plus people. Yeah. So it's a bigger unit. The maneuver element, like the combat fighting element that you have, generally speaking, in a company of Marines is like almost all of them. Whereas in a SEAL task unit, generally speaking, again, things change. There's variables, but you have your support element is included in that. So like in Task Unit Bruiser, we had like 40 SEALs, but we had 100 people. So 60 of those people were CBs and intel people and radio people and communications people and computer people. Like they were there. Yeah.
And they're all part of this task unit?
Yes.
Okay.
The task unit has all those people with you.
Okay.
So you're in charge of 100 people, but, and it could be more, it could be 150, it could be depending on the situation, but only 40 of those guys are shooters.
So the CBs, for example, that were attached. I don't know the
that's exactly right.
Okay, attached to you guys. They are technically in Task Unit Bruiser?
Yeah, technically they're part of Task Unit Bruiser. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. They are technically part of Task Unit Bruiser, but I would, any one of them would immediately clarify, I was a support guy in Task Unit Bruiser. So, but yeah, they were there in Task Unit Bruiser. They made it happen. I mean, we would have been incapacitated if we didn't have our CBs, our intel people, our communications people. All those people were great. And we had some really awesome people. I should get some of those. I should get support. I saw my radio man who was like a young guy. And I don't want to say his name, but he was great. And he's a guy that I put his like office right outside of the Tactical Operations Center. And I was like, I said, you need to be here. Because when I yell your name, when I need something, I want you to be able to hear me. So I'd yell out his name. Let's say his name was, Smith. I'd be like, Smith. And he would immediately be there. And great dude. But the last time I saw him was, he's a Master Chief. Like he retired as a Master Chief. So should get some of those guys on there, get their perspective on what it was like. So this first chapter is assuming command, and it starts off with preparing for a command. And this is a good, interesting thing. Many officers say, I would do anything to command a company. If you're one of those officers, do you really mean it? Are you suited for command? Have you really considered all that commanding a company entails? Try honestly to answer the following questions. Do you really want to command? Are you sure your motivation is more than simply having command experience entered on your record? Are you willing to dedicate yourself solely to your unit? Is your family willing to assume a role in helping you to create a happy Marine Corps community? Is your family willing, if necessary, to be secondary to the unit? You don't see that on paper very often. I know I've said it 1,000 times, and I hear people say it. Your family's going to come second. Often. Not all the time, but often. Do you like to be with young people? Can you live with their energy, their points of view, their problem? And it goes on this whole list. Are you and your family willing to live in a goldfish bowl open to observation and criticism by both subordinates and superiors? Are you able to do many things at one time? Can you manage a complex job? Are you willing to take hard knocks that come from assuming responsibility for failures of your subordinates? Are you confident that you can produce a superior unit from average men? Can you inspire men to achieve outstanding results? You're going to get dudes. And there's going to be a bell curve, some great, most of them are going to be cool, and a couple of losers, slugs. You're going to have some studs and some duds and some in between. That's what you're going to get. Can you turn that average group into an outstanding unit? Are you flexible when dealing with changing situations? Are you willing to risk new ideas? Are you willing to take reasonable risks to allow your subordinates to grow and to become more productive? Decentralized command has risk. A lot of it sometimes. Are you willing to let your subordinates be creative? Are you accessible to your troops? Does your manner invite communication? Mine doesn't always. That's for damn sure.
That's for sure, yeah.
Do you really listen? Can you withhold judgment until all the facts are in? So this is just the opening salvo to get you to think through these things. Right. And these are somewhat rhetorical questions. I don't think anyone's going to fill this out and be like, "Oh, actually, I don't think I really want command."
Yeah, no.
They should put together a list like this before trying to go to Buds.
Yeah.
Even though I think everyone would just be like, "Oh no, I'll serve something bigger than all those questions." People would figure out how to answer them.
Yeah, it feels like like how you said, it's a rhetorical question, so it might go over some people's head. I think it's kind of like, "Oh yeah, I'll fill this out, easy."
Yep.
Yes, and then when it comes time to, you kind of forget or whatever.
Well, they kind of got you covered here. Because the next thing it says is, if you are honest with yourself, you will probably answer no to some of these questions.
Yeah, that's good.
Only if you are completely honest in answering these questions will you gain real insight into what lies ahead. So, ask yourself some questions. That's a really good thing to do when you have a goal, is ask yourself like all these types of questions about what that goal is and figure out what the real deal is. What is it you really want? I've worked with companies, and companies are trying to grow, right? Trying to scale. Yeah. And when you start asking them why they're trying to scale, all of a sudden they realize they don't actually want to scale. What they want to do is maybe make a better product or have the opportunity to get higher income. And the only way they can think of a way to get higher income is to just scale. They want to grow. And with growth comes problems. Problems don't become less when you grow. They become more. And they want more freedom, so they're going to grow their company. Okay, well, hold on a second. Just make sure. And look, obviously, sometimes the answer is to grow. Oftentimes that is the answer, but not always. This is before assuming command, and I'm not reading this whole manual, but determine what your company's missions are and analyze them, obviously. Study the FMs, the field manuals, on how your company's supposed to operate. You ever heard me say, hey, there are stupid questions. There are stupid questions. If you're taking over a role and you haven't done the basic background for what that role requires, and you ask questions that are real obvious, you're stupid. That's a stupid question. You shouldn't do it. Obtain copies of your unit's SOPs. Be familiar with them. So you don't want to show up a day, hey, how do you guys do this? It's already SOP. You had that manual for 3 weeks. You didn't even look at it. You don't care. Get in good physical condition. Hell yeah. You cannot do your best unless you are in excellent mental and physical health. Brush up on the MOS and leadership skills you need to do your job. Your new Marines will see you as being out of touch if you cannot converse with them at their level of knowledge. Again, this is stupid questions. What kind of gun is that? Get a feel for the environment by visiting higher headquarters, staff officers who help support your company. Makes sense. Hey, give me some feedback on this company. What do they do well? What do they do poorly? Establish a good relationship with your fellow commanders, obviously. Find out how they operate, gain from their experience. Ask for ideas from the battalion sergeant major, right? You got your senior enlisted guy. He knows what the deal is. He's going to give you some really good insight. When discussing the status of your unit, be positive and maintain an open mind. What others say may or may not be correct. That's an important one. I would say I was pretty solid at trying to take information, gossip, as data points and not becoming too skewed or biased on something that I heard.
Yeah.
I hear something about a guy, that guy's a piece of shit. Like, okay, well, first of all, who's the source? Second of all, that was 3 years ago. I work with that guy back in such and such. You're like, bro, you don't think that guy's matured at all in the past 9 years? Yeah. Like, take it easy.
Yeah, that when you said data points for the first time or whatever, it's a data point. And you said it to me too off air. We were talking about something else. You're like, yes, that's a data point. And it's like that was such a good way to like clarify and kind of illustrate that concept of not going. Let's say you hear one thing that's like kind of bad about somebody, and then because I believe that it's natural for your mind to just be like, oh well, he's a piece of shit because of that one thing. It's like no, not necessarily. In fact, Rick, I was talking to my friend, and we were talking about somebody where let's face it, something came
Gossiping.
Up huge. Yeah, it was it's a public thing, so whatever. And he had run into a scenario. This guy, not my friend, we're talking about this guy who ran into a scenario, and he's like, and he's explaining all what this guy is known for, and it's like, it's all bullshit. And I was like, I wouldn't say it's all BS.
It's data.
Yeah, it's all it's all exactly right. Because one thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. You see what I'm saying? Two things anyway. But without going too deep in the details, it's true. But that's the trap you can fall into. You hear one thing and you think that data applies to everything. Mm-hmm. Doesn't necessarily.
Well, yeah. Once you get into the the news media, I mean, you have to accept everything as just data points from spin that's been put on it, the whole 9 yards. Yep. But keep that in mind when you're learning about people. Like people have all kinds of opinions about other people. And just remember that that's not the perfect picture.
Bro, there's this show called Forensic Files. I know I brought it up before.
There's a show called?
A show.
Okay.
Forensic Files.
Is it a documentary?
Yeah,
type?
yeah.
So it's real life.
Yeah, real life, real crimes that have been committed. And they get to the bottom of how they solve these crimes, right? Mm-hmm. So when every once in a while, they'll show the suspect, right? And they'll be like, suspect John Smith is an unemployed electrician. Like, he includes unemployed, I think just for the drama. But every time he says that, I kind of think to myself, bro, you didn't have to say that. Like, you didn't have to say unemployed, But I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. But it seemed like he was saying it for you to paint your own picture of this person. You see what I'm saying? What if he was just unemployed just for a little bit? You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Anyway.
And then it talks about, get to know the managers of the base facilities, check out the training here. It's all good stuff. Observe your junior officers and your non-commissioned officers. And then it says, take time to sit down and write out your philosophy of command. Include those things you plan to do to establish the type of climate you want in your unit. To begin to formulate your goals, milestones, recognizing that you may have to alter them as your appreciation of the situation increases. And then determine what you will say when you first meet with your platoon commanders, executive officer, first sergeant, staff, non-commissioned officers, and NCOs. And then it gets into this philosophy of command. And I think when I was reading this, I was like, oh, we should probably do this on the podcast. Successful commanders are those with a well-developed philosophy of command and a clear vision of what they want their companies to be. As a result, they focus their energies and the energy of the company to make things happen. This may sound easy, but consider what happens when a new commander fails to communicate his philosophy of command, to establish a future vision, or to think through a system to measure progress toward that vision. So what do you end up with? You end up with indecision by subordinates. They feel out the new commander, constant initiation or revision of policy as the commander's intent is discovered, reduction of energy and focus as subordinates try to follow their commander's changing directions of march, inappropriate use of people and resources as priorities change, and delays in building subordinates' trust and confidence. So that's what happens when you don't have this philosophy of command. Now, I never did this. And it wasn't when I was in task unit bruiser and I got done with the job and Seth Stone took over the job, and I came down to his office, which was my old office, like 3 days later, and he had like the full philosophy of command up on his board. And I was like, oh, nicely done, Seth Stone. I think that my philosophy of command was so inherent in my reputation that like it was just kind of already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fully.
But for him, it was like a good move. Yeah. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. Yeah. Especially because Seth probably, I would say, was leaning towards being too friendly with the boys, So I think that helped him like, okay, I need to get this down on paper for you guys and for me too.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that was a step up. I was like, oh, okay. He's going to hammer this out.
Yeah.
And then it says, here's some key ingredients before you assume command in your philosophy. These are my values. This is how I plan to exercise command. These are my goals and objectives that are important to me. This is how I evaluate. This is how I will reward and punish. Like, imagine if you just put that out day one. You're doing so good. Hey, here's what's important to me. Because a lot of times you take over and people are kind of like, oh, wait, what's important to this guy? Like, oh, is he, wait. How does he get? He's decentralized command. Oh, he's going to micromanage me at first, and he's trying to make sure I know how to do my job. And he's going to let me like those kind of things. Yeah. Ask yourself these questions as you take command. How do I want this company to look 2 years from now? How do I make that happen? How do I measure progress toward that vision? How will I know that my subordinates understand my vision and my methods of getting there? What are my priorities for the short term, for the long term? What is important for me on a daily basis? Good stuff. So again, anytime you write down stuff, you become detached from it, but you also are setting a goal and setting a standard that you can now aim towards, which is important. Talks about meeting with your predecessor. And again, we're talking about Marines, but this is anybody that's going to take over some job somewhere. And, you're meeting with the guy that had it. It goes, and if you're relieving a commander who's simply moving on to a new job, it's a good idea for you to have a conference with him, get into his views and strengths and weaknesses and organization and key people. Cool. If you're relieving someone who's being removed because of poor performance, a conference with your future boss is in order. Discuss some problems that have arisen. And I did that one time. I took over for a platoon where the platoon commander was getting fired. I've also taken over for situations like when I took over task unit commander. It was a good to go task unit. The guy was done with his job. Trade ed, I took over trade ed. Normally you're going into someone that's doing fine. If you're going into something where things have been askew, you definitely want to meet with the guy's boss for sure, because you figure out what the problem is. And then generally speaking, got to identify that problem really quickly and get things moving in the right direction. In that particular case, and I think in most cases, if the boss is getting relieved, I would treat it out of the gate as if the boss is the problem and the boys are ready to move in the right direction. That it's not a cancer and everyone's pissed off. Even when I took over when the platoon commander got fired, not all the guys wanted the guy to get fired. Some of the guys liked him.
Oh, damn.
So some of the guys were like, no, he's good to go. And some of the guys were like, yeah, he sucked. And generally speaking, I would say he probably had 5 guys that were kind of on his side. And they weren't bad guys, but they were just kind of like, oh, well, they had a good relationship with him. And then probably 5 of them were pretty neutral. Like, well, yeah, he probably could have done better, but, I don't need you to fire the guy. And then 5 of them were like, dude, this guy had to go. So it was a little bit of a mix. It wasn't like when my platoon commander got fired when we had a mutiny on him. Then it was like rabid hatred across the troops. Which we were all just freaking assholes. Just hated it, right? So you could get anything. But taking over that platoon, my assumption was like, oh, the guys are all screwed up. In fact, I thought, the guys are probably squared away. Well, what I thought was there's a bell curve. There's going to be some good guys. There's going to be some bad guys. Do you go in there and immediately cause there to be a rift between the guys that were lovers and the guys that were haters? Like, that's not a good move. Like, hey, guys, I'm not worried about that. I kind of did what Delta Charlie did. Hey, look, I'm not worried about the guy that got fired. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. Obviously, take another page out of Delta Charlie's book. Just take it out, you apply it.
Yeah, that actually happened to us too in football. The whole coaching staff got fired.
Damn.
And some guys.
What part of the season?
After the season. Yeah. It's like in the transition.
And there was lovers and haters.
Yep, exactly right. Some guys, in fact, some of the guys were like, hey, they like rallied and like went to, I think, the athletic director to no avail. Like this.
What side were you on?
That's classified.
Okay.
But nonetheless, there was
PTSD.
there was a spectrum. To be honest, I was neutral. There were I was kind of all over the place because some of those coaches I was like happy with. Like I had.
Why did they all get fired?
They're pretty straightforward with that. They give you a chance, and then if you don't have like a winning season after however long, it's like they replace the coaching staff. You see what I'm saying? And maybe a new philosophy or whatever, but. Yeah, I liked some coaches and some coaches I didn't like as much. Whatever.
Check. One more note on this meeting with your predecessor. One of the things says, I'm not reading all of them. Attempt to learn the long-range goals and objectives of your predecessor. It is often difficult to alter the momentum or direction set by the commander, and you may not want to. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier. Whatever you can kind of resurface and continue with that they were maintain is going to be good, unless it's some loser move, but you don't take the loser things. You take something that seems positive, keep going. And then we get into the taking command part. Fast forward a little bit. It says, avoid referring to your past, specifically your credentials, which you feel qualify you for command. This is something we were just talking about this before we hit record today, is when people kind of lead with their credentials, it's a red flag. I'm gonna be straight up. It's a straight up red flag. When someone explains to you, hey, I went to this school and I graduated with this degree and I got this qualification and I did this and that. Nice to meet you. It's a red flag because there's something wrong with them. Like I'm going deeper than just like a leadership red flag. Like those people are weird, right? Those people, they're insecure, right?
I understand.
They're trying to prove themselves out of the gate. They feel insecure. They got to tell you what they've done in the past. When someone's just like, hey, good to meet you. I'm Fred. It's like, oh, cool. When someone's like, hey, I'm Fred. I went to Harvard. I graduated this. I was a football captain. I'm an Eagle Scout. And, I did 3 combat deployments. You're like, okay, dude, great. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm doomed. Like, this is going to suck. When someone's like, hey, I'm Fred, and you find out later that they went to Harvard, you find out later that they had 3 combat deployments, you find out later that they, all that stuff, when you find it out later, you're like, oh, sweet. But when they front load your ass with that stuff, it's like, bro, this is going to suck.
Yeah. I feel like there's some things, and actually, what do you think about this, where there's some occupations that maybe just part of the tradition or the culture, they say like the title, how like some doctors will do that, or like
obviously there's some of that. It's like just the formality of the situation.
Right, the formality. Yeah.
But there's a huge difference.
Okay, yeah.
There's a huge difference.
That's what I was wondering about your personal opinion, where it's like, are you, how should I say, do you notice that too?
Yeah, I do. But I also notice when I'm talking to someone for like 20 minutes and they're like, well, actually I am a doctor.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm like, I don't know if the last time I had a person like introduce themselves as like Dr. such and such.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's been a while.
Yeah.
But it's a red flag in my opinion. If you have to lead with that stuff, it's a red flag. If you're a person that wants to lead with that, you feel like compelled to do that, don't do it. I'm telling you, it's so much better to not do it.
Yeah.
And everyone will find out eventually that you went to Harvard and that you're an Eagle Scout and that you got everyone's going to find it out eventually.
Yeah.
Don't front load people with that. It's painful.
You're right. There's a big, huge difference between like just the title, like the formal like title, right?
Oh,
how like some people, they have a formal title, like even judge, like some judges where, and then it's contextual as well. Like if you're in some kind of formal like setting or something that leans more formal, it's different.
Sometimes people kind of like the other people. Yeah. Like I'll have people address me as like Commander Willink.
Right.
And first of all, I wasn't a commander. I was a lieutenant commander.
Okay.
Now, people all the time, even in the military, will be like, it's like calling a lieutenant colonel, colonel. Like sometimes you're just like, hey, the colonel said this. A lieutenant commander, it's not a violation when someone's like, hey, Commander Willink. Like I would respond to that all the time while I was in, if somebody called me that.
What's the difference?
1 pay grade.
Oh, okay, so lieutenant commander is right before commander?
Yes, is 1 before commander. But it's not like some big violation like stolen valor. Like, they called me, Jocko's trying to be a commander. As a matter of fact, when I was going on deployment with Task Unit Bruiser, I was a lieutenant, which is a 03. And they're like, hey, they were like, we're spot promoting you. But it's sort of like, it's not official. And I was like, hey, hold on a second. I'm not going to go interact with Marine Corps and Army officers and be lying. That's bullshit. Yeah. And so they gave me like they officially promoted me to that rank so I would be equivalent. Otherwise, it's like, bro, I'll just be a lieutenant. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go and like walk around because it's a big deal in the Army and the Marine Corps. That's why the SEAL teams are just like, oh, you just put it on. It's no big deal. I'm like, no, it is a big deal in the Army and the Marine Corps. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and lie, like meet a brigade commander and have him find out somehow at some point, be like, oh, wait a second, you're not even a freaking lieutenant commander. You're not an 04. You're lying.
Yeah,
That's horrible. So they gave me the legit promotion so I could do it because I was, not going to be over there freaking lying to people.
Yeah.
So,
that kind of like the belts in jiu-jitsu where you can't just roll up.
You can't give
different belt.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. It'd be like if you were going to a school and I was like, hey, just wear a black belt. You'd be like, bruh. You'd be like, no, just wear it. Be like, no. It's not a big deal to whoever this karate guy is over here, but like in the jiu-jitsu world, you just don't throw a black belt on.
No.
Shit ain't happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so important early impressions. The way you come across to Marines initially will provide long-lasting impressions. Some tips are: set the example in personal appearance and behavior. Yep. Look sharp. Now listen, don't get crazy. My goal in appearance is to nothing on me will cause you to think about my appearance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't, and that's in this. Look, in the military, there's a little bit of like, hey, you want them to look, you can go, oh, he's squared away.
Yeah.
Not just he's standing. You want a little bit more, a little bit like, oh, he's squared away. The only thing I'm showing you is that I'm squared away. I'm not trying to get you to look at me more. In the civilian sector, there's a lot of, hey, I want you to just look at me and notice me because of my pants or my shoes or my whatever. It's like, no. Set the example, be squared away.
Yeah, it feels like, I think you might even have put it into these words a long time ago, where you want to look as good as you can without being distracting about it.
Yes.
And so it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so with a uniform, like you just want that uniform to be super squared away.
Yeah.
Personal appearance and behavior. Next one, be honest, be yourself. Yep. Otherwise, they're going to see through it. Avoid the my unit syndrome. You have been given stewardship, not ownership, and an opportunity to serve those above and below you better. That's a big red flag too. Now, there's a little bit of a dichotomy here. Not a dichotomy. There's a little bit of a different take, because sometimes you'll hear a Marine or a soldier, and they're saying like, we don't do that in my platoon. You know what I mean? And they mean it in a good way. It's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
But to be like, all right, gents, now that I'm the commander of my platoon, like that's what we got to watch out for.
Yeah.
There's a different time. There's like a positive ownership piece. Like that shit ain't happening in my platoon. Like we get that.
Yeah.
But in like, hey, we will be successful in my platoon. Oh, red flag.
Right.
So make sure you don't. That's a very thin line.
Yeah.
Got to watch out for that one.
There's that going, and I noticed that a long time ago. I started noticing this, where you're right. It's almost like a vibe. It's an intangible vibe where, and this applies even outside of the military. So there was I went to a bar. I was young. I don't know, 21, 22, whatever. Went to a bar, and I was like, hey, do you have, it was a certain kind of tequila. And I was like, do you have this kind of tequila? And he was like, I got this, and I got that, I got this, and I got that. And he said, he kept saying my whatever. He wasn't the owner. He just worked there, But it seemed like he was kind of projecting like, I'm the master of this domain, like this is my this or my, or if somebody.
So you didn't like it?
I did. It was kind of off. I was like, yeah, it was too much.
Yeah, but I've also had like, let's say a waiter be like, oh, I got a really good steak for you tonight. Exactly, and you're kind of fired up for it.
Exactly,
so
right. And it depends on the vibe too,
out,
though.
Yep.
So even a waiter could do it with the vibe of like, this is my, like it's just the vibe. See what I'm saying? It could go either way. So man, careful. I dig it, man.
Got to be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Take time to talk informally to the company executives. Talk to people, the first sergeant, platoon commanders. Meet with platoon commanders on their turf. Let them do the talking. Boy, do we all have a problem with that. We want to get in there and freaking yap. Let them talk. Take the time to talk to the Marines. If they sense that you have a genuine interest in their well-being, you'll find out what's on their minds. Talk with your Marines, not down to them. Obviously. Remember to exercise your listening skills more than your speaking skills. Your Marines want to tell you their concerns, problems, and accomplishments. This will be hard if you constantly dominate the conversation. Their one-on-one opportunities with their commanders are rare. Learn to listen. Isn't that interesting? The most underrated skill of leadership, listening. The most underrated skill of communication, listening. The most underrated skill of decision-making, listening. Listen, listen, and listen. The most underrated way to earn respect, listen. The most underrated way to get people to listen to you, listen. The most underrated way to deal with someone that's frustrated, listen. The most underrated way to deal with someone that's angry, listen. The most underrated way to deal with someone that's sad, listen.
So true.
Listen.
100% true.
Remember that you are not the only one in the unit who wants it to succeed. Remember that a good sense of humor and consistency will make it easier for people to approach you. So all just great points. Getting out to know your Marines, getting to know your Marines, and it just out of the gates, like, get out of your office whenever possible. Let your XO, your executive officer, let him run the day-to-day stuff. You lead and command. You can't lead from behind your desk. Marines, this is a great line. Marines are not in the unit, they are the unit. They want to get you to know you just as much as you want to get to know them. They will appreciate your efforts in breaking the ice. But it's really important to remember that no matter what you do, those guys are the unit. You have a company, the people in your company, you're the CEO of the company, you're a branch manager at your branch. Those guys are the branch. Those guys are the company. And yes, you can influence them to behave a certain way, but it's them. Seek their opinions, listen to what they have to say. It reiterates, be careful not to talk down to them. That must be an issue that they run into from time to time. You get done with the Naval Academy, you go to the basic school, you've been, you're in the elevated position. You've been told the importance of your role. It's kind of messed up, right? Because you're in a leadership position, everyone's going to tell you, hey, this is the most important position. You're in a leadership position. You're taking care of these guys. They're your responsibility. You're going to get elevated head. You're going to get an elevated ego from that. So you got to be careful. Remember to tell them how much they are helping you to learn about your job. Always important. Participate in the events that they're doing, athletic events. Visit Marines or family members who are in the hospital. Make unannounced visits to the BEQ.
What's BEQ?
The Bachelor's Enlisted Quarters. This is where the young single Marines live.
Hell yeah.
Dude, Zach Bell, veteran with a sign. When he was on the podcast and he's talking about when he showed up to his unit and his unit had just gotten back from Ramadi. Bro, that was like classic BEQ scenario. Like, you are checking in, you're living with your fire team. You know what I'm saying? You got your fire team leader is like in your room with you. He's like you're in the top bunk, he's in the bottom bunk. This is Marine Corps activity right there.
Interesting.
So this is make unannounced visits to the BEQ. You better be careful. Give a little bit of a heads up, might be all right. Talk to the Marines in the area. Spend some time talking with the sometimes forgotten few, the cooks, the corpsmen, mechanics. Let them know how important they are to the unit. Addressing your Marines. Marines want to hear as well as see their commander. Take the first step in establishing good communications up and down the chain of command. Talk to troops as soon as possible after the change of command. Share the standards, goals, and philosophy of your command. This is, if you're doing this right, you can come out of the gate with so much good information and off on the right foot. Talk to the entire unit at one time if you can, and then address officers and NCOs separately. If your mission precludes this, then do it by platoons. And really, I think flipping that so that you kind of you have some good conversations with the officers and NCOs so that everyone's kind of on the same page. Because you might miss something and you jump in and you're like, hey, we're going to be the hardest working guys here. And you kind of miss the fact that these guys have been, on deployment, working hard, working extra hours, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And guys are like, bro.
Yeah.
And so your senior leadership will be able to tell you that. So just don't jump in with what you think is right, because it might not be right.
Yeah.
It might not be right at that moment for the morale of the troops. Beware of heavy-handed my policies tone. Right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. This is how I do it.
Yeah.
New sheriff in town. Don't criticize your predecessor or his policies. Brilliant. You're going to make changes. Don't worry about it. You're going to call anybody out. Beware of making promises that you cannot deliver. Outstanding. Take some action on the feedback you get, solicited or volunteer. Not to do so will injure your credibility. Don't let your Marines think that you want to hear what they have to say but never do anything about it. So yeah, when you take over, you got to set that reputation real quick. Oh, this is the problem? Cool, let's get it fixed. All good information for when you step into that role for the first time. It's good. Now he's talking about, and I'm skipping through. He talks about like how you're interacting with the first sergeant, which is a unique thing in the military, where you have like a platoon chief and a platoon officer. In the Marine Corps and the Army, you have a platoon sergeant, you got a company first sergeant, but you got a company commander. So you got a unique relationship that you have to build, and it talks about that, especially the idea of just roles and responsibilities. Like, hey, this is what I need from you. What do you need from me? Make sure that you have that figured out. Then when he talks about the kind of the platoon commanders and how we're going to develop relationships with the platoon commanders, get to know them, learn their strengths and weaknesses, develop a close-knit command team by establishing close working relationships based on mutual trust and confidence. Again, sometimes people think building a relationship is going out, to have a beer or going out to lunch and that stuff. That's okay. It's fine. But you really build relationships with trust, listen, respect, influence, and care. You give those things to people and they give them back to you. If it works. If I put trust in you and you break my trust, now we're moving in the other direction. Yeah, if I listen to you but you don't listen to me, well, we got to get that sorted out. But we give these things in the beginning. Ensure that they swim and don't sink. Good point, right? We don't mind guys struggling a little bit, but we don't want to watch them fail, especially in front of their troops. Remember that you have the responsibility to teach them and pass on experiences for their future benefit. Tell them what to do, not how to do it. Simple, decentralized command mode, right? I'm not telling you exactly how to do everything. I just tell you what we need to get done. Developing your platoon commanders is critically important. You cannot delegate this to anyone. Your company's performance, morale, and command climate will depend on your platoon commander's performance. That's on you. That is 100% on you. You are responsible for your direct subordinates' growth, right? You're responsible for their growth. Don't stifle their initiative. Allow them to make mistakes that will not damage their careers. Ensure they don't make the same mistakes twice. Very good advice. When you are using decentralized command and you're giving people the opportunity to grow, they're not going to be perfect. Do not stifle their initiative. Keep that in mind. Become the buffer between them and higher headquarters. Keep the heat off them and let them do their jobs all day. Because, listen, your commander's going to suck. The next echelon of command always sucks. The next echelon command is always terrible. That's what everybody says all the time. It's not going to be unique to you. Don't let your platoon commanders and your subordinate leadership feel that. Do your absolute best to buffer them. Ensure they know what is expected of them. Consistently let them know how they're doing. Give them a straight shot to talk to you about things important to them, both good and bad. So they should be able to come to you and say, hey, this is a problem I got, or this is what's going good. Don't overreact to their bad news. Killing messengers will keep them from telling you bad news in the future. Yeah, just don't overreact. How's that? Just be chill. Just listen to what people have to say. Include them in the decision-making process whenever possible. Avoid wasting their time with long-winded meetings which don't help them get their jobs done. However, there is great value in periodic commanders' call sessions when the commanders sit down with their commander. They appreciate the exclusiveness and personal attention associated with this type of meeting. Yeah, the amount of meetings that happen globally that don't help anyone get their job done is criminal. And we need to do our best to put a stop to that. Beware of fostering competition between them at the expense of destroying cooperation and teamwork. Clearly. And that's real easy to do. Especially in the business world where I'm going to get paid more if I beat you in this thing. Oh, I'm going to get promoted if I beat. Oh, got to be careful. See each of your commanders at least daily on their turf, not yours. Train and teach them to be better commanders. Don't be concerned with which one is best. Make each one the best that he can be. Check. Talking about the sergeant major, get to know him. He has years of experience. Obviously, same thing with the battalion commander. You want to understand what he expects from you. You want to be clear on his standards and policies. You want to give him an update on what's happening. Anything that's significant, let him know. Speak frankly to him about problems and issues that are bothering you. Yep. But, don't complain about a bunch of stuff. If you have a legit problem and you've tried to solve it and you need some guidance, legitimate guidance, cool. and here's what I'm proposing to do. Does this make sense? Am I doing the right thing? Don't just go in there and blabber your mouth complaining about stuff. That's not a good move. And then there's a little section in here on checking facilities, which is just like, hey, you take over. It's like taking over a company, and you got to go and make sure that what you're taking over is squared away, right? So you want to go make sure that the freaking bathrooms work and you got the printers that you need or whatever the case may be. And then we get into chapter 2. By the way, we're only covering 2 chapters. There's a whole bunch more. Leading the company. Leadership is an essential skill for an effective company commander. Our 29th Commandant, General A.M. Gray, who we did a podcast on, Grayisms, defines leadership as the art of getting things done through people. Leadership is a skill that can be learned through study, observation, and practical experience. It is the most essential element of combat power on the battlefield, and therefore your most important concern in peacetime. Your goal is to demonstrate competent and confident leadership, and to develop that same leadership in your subordinates. In the words of General Gray, it is going to take bold, innovative, and aggressive leadership to overcome the complexities of the modern battlefield. Only this kind of leadership, exercised by both the commander and his staff, will provide purpose, direction, and motivation in combat. At all levels of command, leaders must be men of character. They must know and understand their people and the physical tools of battle. They must act with courage and conviction. Their primary function is to inspire and motivate their people to do difficult things in trying circumstances. That's General Gray. One thing that, the warning here, you must demonstrate competent and confident leadership. Well, if you don't feel confident about something, don't try and fake it. Raise your hand and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. What does that take? What does it take for me to say, hey, Echo, I've never done this kind of mission before. Can you help me out? What does that take?
Humility.
It takes humility, yes. It also, surprisingly, shockingly, takes confidence. Humility and confidence aren't like opposites. They're related. They're related. The opposite of competence is incompetence, right? Like, hey, I don't know how to do this. The opposite of competence isn't like I'm going to pretend that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
So humility and confidence, even though they're not opposites, the opposite of confidence is not humility.
Yeah.
It's not, even though it seems that way.
Yeah, that humility is kind of part of a greater confidence, right? Like secureness.
Yes. When someone's insecure, they never ask for help.
Right.
I don't want to plead the God. I don't want to admit that. No, when you're really confident, you're like, oh, hey, I've never done this before. Yeah. You have to have the confidence. You have to be humble enough. You have to have the confidence to show humility. Yeah. It's a very bizarre relationship. The Marine Officer's Guide defines leadership as: leadership is a heritage which has passed from Marine to Marine since the founding of the Corps. It has been defined as the art of influencing and directing men so as to obtain their obedience, respect, confidence, and loyal cooperation. Leadership is mainly acquired by observation, experience, and emulation. Although some individuals possess greater instinctive gifts of leadership than others, anyone can sharpen his leadership faculties if he tries. Now, what's interesting here is it says obedience, right? And that kind of like triggers me a little bit, right? Because so often I talk about, we want pushback, but there is no doubt that if you are leading correctly, when needed, you will get obedience. There will be times when you need obedience in any organization. Could be business. Like, hey, Echo, get this done right now. Like that is, I would say that you once every 8 years, Echo, do this right now. I would need obedience. By the way, it goes in both directions too, because there's the times where your subordinates are going to go, boss, we need this right now, and I need to obey.
Yeah. Feels like it should be fueled by trust and not freaking fear.
It should be fueled by trust, not authority, not rank.
Yeah.
The Another primary goal of leadership is the objective of Marine Corps leadership is to develop the leadership qualities of Marines to enable them to assume progressively greater responsibilities to the Corps and society. Bro, it's going societal at this point.
Yeah.
In North China, 1937, Captain Samuel B. Griffith said, "Wars and battles are not lost by private soldiers. They win them, but they don't lose them. They are lost by commanders, staffs, and troop leaders, and they are often lost long before they start." So, responsibilities of leaders. Responsibility of leaders, this is an important thing. Number one, successful completion of the assigned mission. That's the number one thing you're responsible for. Sometimes, at Echelon Front, we always have to make sure we go get the job done. Mission accomplishment. Execute the task. That's part of leadership. In fact, that's what leadership is there for. The fundamental responsibility of leaders is to successfully complete the mission. The mission of your unit is the only reason for the existence of the unit and its commanders. All other obligations are secondary. However, all leaders must be positive as to how this mission is accomplished. Marines and or their careers must not needlessly be sacrificed for the sake of accomplishing the mission. I wasn't quite sure. I'm not sure how to read this. Marines and or their careers. I understand Marines must not be needlessly sacrificed for the accomplishment of the mission. I get that. But how would we be sacrificing our career for a mission? And actually, I think the opposite is true. Sometimes people are executing the mission for their careers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is not a good move. Number two, responsibility to higher headquarters. While responsibility to accomplish the mission is paramount, inherent in the unit's mission is a leader's responsibility to higher headquarters. There are two parts to this: strict compliance and vigorous execution of all legal orders, directives, policies, regulations, and decisions received from higher headquarters. And two, inspiring confidence in higher headquarters. If a subordinate leader openly criticizes his superiors, he can expect the same from his Marines. Subordinate leaders should discuss those things that they disagree with in orders from higher headquarters with their superiors. However, if the decision still stands after the discussion, the subordinate must provide complete support. Now, wrote about this in Leadership Training and Tactics. There are going to be times where I tell Echo to do something that's stupid. And Echo has the conversation with me and he can't make any progress. And I'm like, no, do this dumb thing. No, do it. I told you to do it. I'm in charge. Go do it. Now, you don't turn around to your troops and say, hey, guys, this is what we're doing. Jocko came up with this plan and we're going to go execute it. And think that they're all going to go, wait a second. They're not going to see that it's stupid. Mm-hmm. Nope. And you already push back. You already say, hey, boss, I don't know if this is the right way. Hey, here's another course of action. I'm like, no, do it my way. You have to approach that with your troops in a delicate manner to not give the impression that you didn't push back, that you think that this is the best way when it clearly isn't. It's like, hey guys, I'm not 100% sure why the boss wants us doing it this way, but here's what we're going to do. I obviously haven't earned enough trust from him yet. What we're going to do is we're going to execute this to the best of our ability. We're going to try and pull it off. If at a worst case scenario it doesn't work, I'm at least going to have feedback for him and explain to him what went wrong and what other elements we need to make this work. And best case, we will get it done, and I'll be able to say, hey, sir, we got it done. Here's a couple things that would have made it even smoother. And he's going to trust me more and he'll listen to me more. That kind of approach is pretty positive. You got to be very careful, because even that, if you're not careful with that right there, everyone go, oh, so this is a dumb plan. Yeah. And they won't do it vigorously. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely an area where we have to use caution. If you think that the troops don't see when something is stupid, you're wrong. They're going to see it. So be careful of that. Generally speaking, if I tell Echo to take his troops and do something stupid and you go, hey boss, let me make sure this is what you want me to do. I'm going to take casualties. We're not going to be able to get it done. I'm going to lose this manpower, whatever. And I go, oh, I didn't know all that. Hold on a second. Can you find a better way? Yes. That's 99% of the time what happens. And by the way, when it doesn't happen, there's something else at play that I don't see, or that you don't, that I don't see as a subordinate. When my boss is telling me to do something that makes no sense, I'm going to try and ask as many questions as I can to try and figure it out. Usually there's some strategic thing that I don't understand. Like, oh, they wanted us to take out this. They want us to take out this observation post, this enemy observation post. It's in a very difficult spot. It's going to be really challenging. Hey, boss, we don't have the manpower for this. It's just a distraction. We're just putting you out there. Okay, cool. Now I understand. So just be careful of that. Obviously, you're responsible for training your troops, training, maintenance, administration, all that. Welfare of Marines. Leaders earn trust, confidence, and cooperation by looking after the needs of their Marines. Those needs include satisfying the security, physical, and social needs of the individual. Primarily, the leader is responsible for ensuring that the Marine is trained satisfactorily and performs the job assigned competently. Marines also have personal problems of both a military and family nature. The leader must recognize these. He must make himself and the chain of command available to counsel Marines when they have these problems. Then he must ensure that unit leaders work with the Marines toward solving those problems. Welfare of Marines. You got to take care of your people. Balance all of the leader's responsibilities, the responsibility to his Marines. Of all the leader's responsibilities, the responsibility to his Marines is by far the most satisfying. As the leader works with and trains his Marines, a strong sense of loyalty can develop. It better develop. This loyalty can conflict with the leader's responsibility to the mission. The commander cannot be overly protective of his Marines when directed to order them into combat or to make them work beyond their endurance. It is difficult for a good leader to suppress the feeling for his men at times when he must plan for their possible death. This is the opening chapter of the dichotomy of leadership. You care about these individuals more than anyone in the world, and you are literally sending them on missions where they may get killed. That is a very difficult thing to do. Here it talks about the foundations of leadership. Number 1, authority. Authority is the legitimate power of a leader to direct those subordinates to get him to act within the scope of his position. The commander delegates his power or part of it in his name by extending to his leaders regardless of their rank. Now, is that for real? It is a thing. I do have rank over you, and therefore I can use my authority, and that can be the foundation of leadership. Is it really truly the foundation of leadership? No, it's not. It's not. The foundation of leadership is the respect, the trust, the listen, the influence, and the care. It's the relationships that you build. That's where the real leadership is. That's where the real leadership is, up, down, and across the chain of command. That's where it is. That's the true foundation. What do you do to earn the respect of your troops? Do you listen to them? Are you influenced by them? And when you have a good relationship, you will have the primal authority. Again, go back and listen to that judgment podcast that we did. This is literally the last podcast that we did. What, 549? We talked about this very thing. You have authority, but the real authority, the primal authority, is a different scenario than just what's on paper and what's on your collar and your rank. There's something more powerful than that. And by the way, all the advice that they're giving in this is going to elevate your primal authority. But one thing that diminishes your primal authority is when you walk around thinking that your rank gives you authority. It doesn't. It gives you a little bit, little tiny bit. Don't rely on it too much. Responsibility. Responsibility is at all levels of command for what Marines do or fail, as well as the physical assets under the commander's control. Ultimately, all Marines are morally and legally responsible for their individual actions. Right? So this does give you, when I am responsible for everything and I take ownership of everything, yes, that absolutely gives you a foundation of leadership. When everyone knows, like, hey, this is Jocko's ass right here. Accountability. Accountability is the reckoning wherein the leader answers for his actions and accepts the consequences, good or bad. Accountability is the very cornerstone of leadership. Yes. Accountability is the final act in establishing one's credibility. Yeah, you blame other people, you're not going to have credibility. Plainly speaking, the accountable leader is saying the buck stops here. Remember, accountability results in rewards for good performance as well as punishment for poor performance, obviously. Values. The values are the benchmark for leadership. What do we got? We got benchmark. We got the cornerstone, benchmark, and foundation. Values are the benchmark for leadership. They are guides to our thinking and our behavior and that of our subordinates. If a Marine is left without any guidance or supervision, his personal values will determine what he will or will not do. Facts. And this is good. This is really important when it comes to kids. Establishing good values with your kids so that when they're, late night, peer pressure, illegal things happening, legal things happening, crazy things happening, decisions being made, you're not there. You are not there. And their values are going to make their decision for them. Leaders must provide guidance and supervision to inspire and control their Marines. As a leader, you have the power to influence the beliefs and values of your Marines by setting the example, by rewarding behavior that supports military values and attitudes, and by planning and conducting tough individual collective training. So I've got some interesting documents that I might be getting into on the podcast, but the changes that happen to people in boot camp, like psychological changes. Because hopefully your psychological value system changes somewhat, because you're like a dirtbag bum going into boot camp and you come out a squared away Marine or a squared away sailor or a squared away soldier. That's what can happen. Yeah. Your values should be inculcated into you. So it gets into here, personal values. Can you identify your own values by examining your own behavior? Think through the following questions. What is important to me personally? What do I stand for? What activities do I spend my time on? What values do I admire in others? To what or whom do I attribute those values? How do I impart values or beliefs on others? Again, go back and listen to the last podcast about judgment, because we start talking about, I forget what I called them in the podcast, universally recognized values that are positive, right? Integrity, doing what you say, discipline, like all those things are universally recognized, by the way. So you should figure out where you are. Where are you at? And that kind of flows right into your unit values. Like, what is your unit all about? And it says the following values are critical to the development of effective Marine units: integrity, trust, loyalty, justice, self-service, and courage. Again, these are all straight out of the list of people. We're all getting judged on these things. Yeah. Do you respect when somebody doesn't do what they say they're going to do? No. Do you respect somebody when they break their trust? They lie to you? No. When they stab you in the back and not loyal to you? No. When they do something, when they're picking on somebody that doesn't deserve it? No. When they do something that's selfish? No. When they are a coward? Of course. Like, these are values. These are universally accepted and respected values. So you have to have them individually. Leadership traits. In trying to learn and to develop your leadership abilities and those of your Marines, spend some time studying the traits of great Marine leaders. Remember, the way you see yourself may not be the way your Marines actually see you. Again, go back and listen to the last podcast. As you study this self-evaluation checklist, be honest with yourself. Step back and see yourself as your Marines see you. How do you measure up as a leader? And it's got some pretty good things to judge yourself on. Bearing. Setting and maintaining high standards in appearance and personal conduct. Do you do that? Avoid excessive use of profanity. Do you do that? Controlling your temper. Do you do that? Keeping your word. Do you do that? So all these things are bearing. Again, these can fall right into the judgment thing that we covered on the last podcast. Courage. Taking risks in combat and in peace. Acting calmly and firmly in stressful situations. Standing up for what is right regardless of what others think. Accepting personal responsibility for your orders and for your mistakes. Making on-the-spot corrections of Marines who need correcting. Allowing your subordinates to do their best jobs and make decisions.
It mentioned temper there. And it kind of seems like in the military, this, I don't know if it's performative or what, but it kind of seems like, then again, I'm going off the movies.
I was going to say, this is your military assessment of military movies, Hollywood shitty movies.
Like losing their temper, like, did the guy getting, what was I watching? A Few Good Men. I was watching A Few Good Men the other day. And, my man was losing his temper many times. It was kind of dope, to be honest with you.
Hollywood, bro.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
When was the last time you lost your temper?
Including printers and fax machines?
Like actually lost your temper. Yeah, including.
I did have a printer failure. I got a new printer, by the way. And I made it work by myself because my wife was out of town, so I was like in charge of IT.
Solid.
It's been a long time, man.
Do you remember any instance that you've lost your temper, even way in the past or whatever?
It's been a long time.
I lost my temper the other day.
What was it?
I only remember 2 times in my whole life that I lost my temper.
What happened, bro?
Well, it's totally understandable. I was at the park. We were riding, me and my son, he's 9, riding our bikes. Mm-hmm. And it's a park where the dogs are allowed, mm-hmm. but they got to be on the leash. Mm-hmm. And some people, they take their dogs off the leash, mm-hmm. which, it's kind of one of those things where you take your dog off the leash, the thing minds its own business, or you have full control over your dog. No one's going to trip, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not a super crowded park either. No. It's actually super mellow.
This is kind of like this is kind of a standard park in San Diego, California. Yep. They're all kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I understand.
You got a dog, because I go to dog parks, with my dogs. You got a dog, it's cool. Like, no one cares. It's off the leash. No, everyone's all good. Yeah. Clean up after the dog, for the love of God. But yeah, it's pretty chill. So you're in the standard kind of park. Is it a high frequency dog park?
Nope. Okay. It's like if you got 5 dogs there, mm-hmm. that's a crowded day. And this is full. Like, consider a whole football field size.
Okay.
It's huge. Okay. So we go there, we ride the bikes up there, we play football and stuff like that. And so we ride onto the park, and this German Shepherd, too, by the way, starts chasing my son on the thing. And we don't know, like, with his mouth open. At this point, I'm like, we don't know if the dog's like what he's doing. It's straight up chasing him.
Yeah, for sure.
And my son's 9. So he's scared. This freaking huge ass black, the ones with a black face, they look extra scary.
Hey, bro, a German Shepherd chasing a 9-year-old kid is a horrific situation.
Yes.
That is like, there is a, I don't want to put a probability, a percentage chance on it. There is a not small chance that this kid is about to get bit. Now, listen, would a person that has a crazy dog like that have it off the leash in the park? Most likely not. Yeah. But dogs are dogs. Dogs are animals.
Yep, correct. And I've never seen that guy before.
Oh, then that's definitely
there.
Yep. Check.
I've never seen that dog there.
And it had a black face and a freaking German Shepherd.
And it's running, chasing, not the kind like it chased for a little bit and then left. It was chasing. And my son's like, bro, he put it on turbo and he's going. He's trying to, the dog's chasing him. And I'm like, bro, this dog's not stopping. Like, it's for real. And my son is slowly, I can see him getting more scared and more scared. I said, hey, follow me. Because he's kind of outmaneuvering the dog a little bit. So I was like, we'll go by the owner, and the owner will grab the dog. See what I'm saying? And my son, by the time we got over to the owner, he's scared. This is panic mode already. He just flies past the owner. I stop by the owner, and he flies past. The dog just keeps chasing him. And to the point where I'm like, bro, he's going to crash. That's how fast he's going. He's going over bumps and all this stuff. And so I'm like, oh, man. So I'm yelling at him, hey, like, stop, come over here and stop or whatever. But he's already in panic mode going. And that's when I felt myself like, kind of like losing it or whatever. So I fly over there. The owner's running kind of next to me a little bit. And he's like, why won't he stop to me about my son?
This is your fault.
Yeah. And I was like, and I just cussed him out. We finally get there. The dog stopped because another person was coming with their dog, and the dog kind of maneuvered distracted. And looked. And the lady was like, to my son, he was like, is that your dog? Like, what the hell's up with your dog? And he's like, no, it's not my dog. It's just chasing me or whatever. And she's like, oh my gosh. And the dog's and the owner runs over there or whatever. And he's like saying this and that. He's like, oh, he has a prey drive and all this stuff. And I did lose my temper, just cuss the guy out. And he was like doing some weird stuff. Like he's going, he's just being weird, like kind of like he's trying to control his temper or whatever. It was a scene for sure. And then he was like, he kind of calmed down. He was like, oh, you want me to leave? I told him a bunch of stuff like, yeah, I see you failed to observe the old leash or whatever. All this stuff, like control your dog kind, like, bro, you can't, like, we've been coming to this park for like 15 years before my son was even born. And freaking, he comes up there with his freaking dog, freaking chasing everybody, all this stuff, right? Can't control his dog, you know? Really has he should not have been there, you know, kind of a thing. But anyway, it was super ugly. And I remember thinking, dang, I don't think I've ever lost my temper.
When you say you lost your temper.
Yeah, yelling at him and cussing him out.
Was any of that performative?
No, that's the thing. Okay. And I've done the performative thing before. Okay, oh, frick yeah. At the club? Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, when you were a bouncer?
Yeah.
Yeah, the performative temper loss.
No, this was the kind for real, afterwards I was like, bro, I was like out of control because I was ready to fight the guy.
Yeah, I did a performative temper loss. Like I remember one time in the SEAL teams, like somebody did something. I was like, okay, and I had already talked to him about it. And I was like, oh. And then as I was talking to him, they were like acting like this was no big deal. And I was like, oh, time for me to performatively lose my temper. Yeah. It's
that's way different.
That's why I asked you to specify, because if you were just, then it's still, that's not losing your temper. Like to performatively yell at someone, like that's not losing your temper. But you uncontrollably like just started yelling at this dude.
Yeah. And swearing and stuff, which was weird because I remember thinking like, you know how you almost have this weird out of body experience? Like I'm like, bro, I'm cussing this guy out like full volume. And my son was like right there. He was happy. He was like freaking, frick this guy, frick his dog. Like, and then finally after everything calmed down, he's like, what, you want me to leave? You want me to take him away or whatever? Like take the dog away, you know? And I said, yeah. And then he like kind of got his girlfriend.
How big was this dude?
He was big. He was like tall.
Scrap would have been good scrap.
Oh, I don't know if he was trained or what. But if he was untrained, no, I would have smashed him. Yeah. Easy money. I wasn't worried about that.
It's been a long time since I legitimately lost my temper. I'm thinking too, I'm thinking it's not going to be towards humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think sense. Like maybe I was, doing something with some piece of gear,
right?
And be like, I like even that is pretty rare, but I'm more apt to do that than like than have a person make me mad.
Yeah, I agree with you so much because most of the time, like I feel like when people elicit, or I don't know, if they do some behavior that causes maybe a normal, quote unquote, normal person, whatever that even means, to lose their temper, I feel like you kind of win when you don't lose your temper. It's really sure, like the front running feeling that I have or whatever. The only time I think, and I think this kind of goes for everyone, no matter kind of who you are, this is the formula, is like when you feel like you're out of control of the situation, when you have lost control of the situation, then you lose your temper. And some people, when they have like short tempers or whatever, I feel like just generally speaking, they don't have control of their situation, kind of thing, just mentally, kind of a thing. It always comes off like that anyway. So like with people, it's not very hard to just act right in life, to me anyway. So when people are not acting right and maybe might cause other people to lose their temper, I'm like, bro, this is just a person not acting right, kind of a thing. But that dog and the thing just wouldn't stop. And like I said, like I thought he was going to get really hurt, whether it be from the dog or crashing.
Yeah, and exactly, if he crashed, then the dog bites him?
Oh, yeah.
It was, that's not good at all.
Yeah, it was a little emergency scenario. And then the guy, when he would yell and he was yelling at my son, kind of like we were doing something wrong, and he's the one that kind of, I think, and this is in hindsight,
I've had weird people yell at me or whatever, whether it's traffic or whatever, I'm trying to think. Oh, I ran by someone and they were like as if they were gonna die. Actually, I know what it was. It was during COVID, and I was on a run, and I was not wearing a mask or following social distancing, right? And I was running on a cliff area, and as I was running, there was a guy, dude. I mean, I'm out running. And this dude has 3 masks on and a face shield or whatever, and I was just like, God, what an weirdo. And as I'm running, he thought I had bubonic plague that was going to cause instant death if I went by him, and he kind of freaking tried to scramble to get 6 feet from me, and then I heard the I just kept running. I wasn't I didn't even respond. I don't even think I respond to people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I even respond. Yeah. Like when I'm driving and I do like someone like whatever, something happens and someone honks at me, I literally just completely ignore them and just keep doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, fully.
Someone's going to have to pit maneuver me, you know, like just freaking knock me for me to get me to like respond to them. And even then I'd probably like re-attack.
Yeah. But. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. And I think just because I was always mellow or whatever. Like it's not that serious. Most things in my life have thankfully not been that serious. So the performative lose temper thing or whatever. I did that one. It's fun. You know Terry, right? Big Sexy. He was there. And this guy kept like, you know how people. Okay, you ever heard of loud talking? You ever heard that expression? Like instead of me telling you how I feel, I'll just say it over here off to the side and make sure you can hear it because it's almost like this in-betweener confrontation. So it was like he was kind of doing that, but in a weird way where he was talking to me, talking about I'm from Chicago and I'm this and I'm that, but not in a way that was saying, therefore I do something to you, but he's saying it to me. And he kept getting closer and closer and like kind of bumping me or whatever. It was just more annoying than anything, I wasn't losing my temper at all, but then I was just kind of tired of it or whatever. And then, I like acted like I lost my temper.
Okay. You just reminded me of something. Yeah. This wasn't a temper loss, but it began as loud talking. Me.
You were loud talking.
I was loud talking. So I'm on a hike with my family in Yosemite.
I know the story too.
Oh yeah,
the smoking one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We get to the most beautiful place, Hey, I'm not kidding. Yeah. One of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. Yeah. And it took 4 hours to get there hiking. Our kids. Yep. Like everyone's hot, tired. We get up there. There's a beautiful it's part of the waterfall scenario, but the water wasn't running too hard, so it's just
majestic.
A place, majestic swim. We're gonna go swim,
hell yeah.
And we find a nice little spot, and we kind of set up there. We're gonna go in the water and everything, and all of a sudden I smell just smoke, cigarette smoke, and sure enough, not 8 feet away on the other side of like a rock, there's this freaking family, or not family, but a group. And they're from Europe, and they're all just sitting there smoking cigarettes. And I just was like, hey, I'm like, oh, that's great. That's beautiful. Hey, can you blow some of that over? I was just doing that kind of shit. Cause it really was a bummer.
Yeah.
And and then I crawled over the rock. And I sat down next to him, and I started doing wafting smoke. I was like, "Oh, this is so nice. This is beautiful. I love this carcinogenics just into my look. Can you blow that towards me a little bit more?" And these people meanwhile are horrified, like they might get chopped up and thrown into the river themselves. But I was definitely, I didn't lose my temper, but I was really pissed. I was like, are you serious right now? You guys traveled up here. You walked up here, and you're going to sit here and smoke 4 cigarettes in a group? Are you serious right now?
Yep.
That pissed me off.
Yeah, like a anger-driven confrontation.
It seemed like in a way, I could find a way where slapping them all would be appropriate. You know what I mean? Yes. I didn't do it, but I could see walking up to him being like take a cigarette out of their mouth, smack him in the face. Yeah. You're so lost in what you're doing right now that you should remember this. And you need a spanking, right? In your face. I didn't do it. I'm not going to provoke this, physicality, all that stuff, but maybe that would have been the right thing to do. Is just hey, slap, turn around, slap, turn around, slap, turn around, slap, and then put out their cigarettes on their faces. No, on the ground, and be like, this is a no smoking area. That would have been good, right? This is a no smoking area. After I told you about my one friend that took a guy's cigarette from his mouth and shoved it up his nose. Yeah. So that would have been a little over the top.
Yeah, a little bit.
That guy dropped when that friend of mine did that. That guy dropped as if he'd been shot in the head with a 300 Win Mag. Just boom, just fell to the ground.
Oh,
it was just so reactive.
No shit.
When my friend took the cigarette out of his mouth and in the most Bruce Lee, right up his nose, direct hit.
Bro, that must have been painful in your nose.
The dude just collapsed.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
it's interesting.
Yeah, don't lose your temper.
Yeah,
if you can avoid it.
I understand, bro. And I remember that story too, and I was like, bro, I feel you so much because, like, certain things are like, and it's kind of one of those things where it makes you even more frustrated that it's kind of that gray area, you know? Like if something is a clear violation, you know you can go over there and be like, hey, and you can handle it in whatever way. You can be nice about it, you can be mean about it, whatever. It's all justified, very clear, cut and dry. See what I'm saying? But it's like one of those things where people are just flagrantly ruining your time and kind of a lot of other people's time. And it's like, shoot, man, what do I do? And you're just, it adds to it.
I got kids.
Bruh.
Little kids that are, they're breathing hard. Yep. And here we are. So
breathing in your
not cool.
freaking tar.
Check. Decisiveness. Studying your alternatives and making the best possible course of action. Obviously, picking alternatives and making decisions quickly. I make a recommendation. Use the iterative decision-making process. Knowing when not to step in to make a decision. Important quality. Dependability. Being places on time or when you say you will be there, and meeting deadlines for tasks that you've been ordered or told to do. Completing it. That's just dependability. Endurance. Maintaining mental and physical stamina. Having the ability to perform your duties under stress and for prolonged periods of time. I had a good level of that. Very lucky. Somewhat, it has to be somewhat genetic to just be able to like stay awake and keep going for a long time.
Yeah.
That's definitely respected. And it's something that I don't know if you can prepare for it, but I think you can like lock in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's time to lock in.
This is my hypothesis about it, where if you formal or informal, if you kind of teach yourself or train yourself to disregard your lack of sleep, to just kind of disregard it and truly regard it as a non-factor, you can do it.
There's been times when you've come to record the podcast and you've been like, after the podcast, you said, yeah, I got an hour and a half sleep, or I didn't sleep last night. So even Echo Charles, could be like, all right, I'm just going to lock in.
Right. So within the past, I'd say 3 years, maybe or whatever, for various reasons, I came up with that hypothesis that like, because sometimes I'll forget that I didn't get good sleep, and I'll be like, I really don't feel like working out, but whatever, I work out. That's what I do, whatever, how I feel, and I'll work out, and then I'll remember, oh wait, I didn't get good sleep, but it wasn't a factor during the workout. I did the full workout, full effort, like the whole thing. You see what I'm saying? So if lack of sleep was really that bad, I don't think I would have got the workout. No. And it's happened many, many, many times. Yeah. And, sometimes I'd forget that I didn't get good sleep. Sometimes I'd remember and just disregard it and be like, no, we're still working out. We're still doing this thing or whatever. And it's one of those things where, and I actually read this, where if you can trick yourself into thinking you got rest, and you can trick yourself into thinking you didn't get good rest. So like if you're like, oh yeah, I can't really function with 5 hours of sleep. If you tell yourself that, your body kind of accommodates you. But if you're like, oh, I don't care, like I don't, like, no factor kind of a thing, and then over time, then it's truly no factor.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
Literally no factor.
Yeah,
maybe that's where I'm at. Yeah, for so long I was like no factor. Maybe I made that my identity, and therefore it's just like who I am.
I thought that before.
But I have seen like friends of mine that when they get tired, it's a breakdown. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a breakdown.
I've literally been like that in my lifetime for a long time, for sure. And I it's like I have convinced myself, no, I need to go take a nap. I need to get that 1-2 hours sleep back. Otherwise, I can't function. I've like consciously like thought that before.
And now you decided otherwise.
No factor. But the only concern about not getting enough sleep is the health stuff.
Yeah. So look, hey, if you're freaking out right now, get sleep. Sleep is good for you. In the book, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, I said get sleep. Rest is good for you. Got to recover, all that stuff. But if you got to push through some shit, you can make it happen, dude. It ain't no big deal. You ain't gonna die.
You are correct. I think and that's why I think yours is genetic, because you don't have health issues.
Yeah, and there's been times where I've been like, oh, whatever situation I'm in, don't I can sleep until whenever. And usually like 6 hours of sleep go to bed at 10, wake up at 4:30 in the morning. That's whatever, 6.5 hours of sleep. That's kind of what I need. That's kind of what I need. So, yeah, good to know. Enthusiasm. What a good quality, right? Consistently communicating a positive attitude to your Marines. Never complaining in front of your Marines about they or the system. Praising your Marine success. Explaining to your Marines why they must perform tasks expected of them in terms they can understand and accept. Dude, just be positive. Just be positive. It's so easy to reframe things positively. I think there's a saying of like, good.
Yeah, I heard that one.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So things went wrong. Good. We got an opportunity. I think that's a real thing that you can really do. Initiative, take action. Be a self-starter. Plan ahead. Always look to improve things. Integrity, telling the truth to both your superior and your Marines. Yep. Using your authority as a commander to work toward the mission accomplishment, not personal gain or glory. Yep. Encouraging honest and open communication in your company.
You kind of just glossed over that self-starter thing. I truly do believe that's a harder thing for most people.
100%.
Yeah, than it sounds. Like self-starters, are you a self-starter? Fuck yeah, all day I am, bro. No, we're not. Most of us are not. And most of us know that it's like, bro, when you just think about it for a second, it's hard to self-start. Yeah.
Self-start. It is a big deal. When you got self-starters, man, so nice on your team. Just prop them up and let them run.
Yeah.
Because most people you're saying are not, and you are right.
Yeah.
Most people are not. It's not normal. Judgment, being able to weigh facts and get solutions. Taking all sides of an issue into consideration before making a decision that affects your Marines. Yep. Being calm, but not just calm, but being level-headed, right? Not getting swayed by this or that. That's what we're doing. Just good, solid judgment. Knowledge, making sound tactical decisions, doing all duties well, showing your Marines how they should perform their duties, recognizing, correcting inadequate performances of your Marines. Listen, are you always going to be able to do some job that someone else does better than them? No, you're not. You're not. So this isn't saying you got to be able to do the job better, right? But you better at least know about the job that they're doing. Tact, talking with your Marines, not at them. This is the third time we're seeing that. Speaking to your Marines with the same respect that you would expect. Remember that one. Treat people with respect.
So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. So that notion, but with your kids. So a lot of people, and it's subtle sometimes and sometimes it's flagrant, but a lot of times we don't talk to our, I try to, but we don't talk to our kids the way we would want people to, people are not polite to their kids sometimes.
I'm going to tell you right now. You're 100% right. The trust, listen, respect, influence, and care that I teach for building relationships with employees, with bosses, with adults, with peers, with all those people, it 100% is applicable to your kids. Yeah. And for some reason, we carve out kids and be like, oh, no, that doesn't apply to them. It 100% applies to them. You want your kids to treat you with respect, treat them with respect. Yeah. You want them to listen to you, listen to them. You want them to have influence. You want to have influence over them, you better allow them to influence you. If you do this, it is going to be infinitely better. If you think you can command respect because you're the dad, nope. You can force them to do the dishes. They'll be pissed at you. This is a kid that's going to end up freaking doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
When you're not around to impose your will on them. But if you teach them those good values, and you do that by building a good relationship, they're gonna emulate your values.
Yeah. And how you talk to people, how bro, that's something that I'm so glad that I listened to. Bro, I did this thing since the beginning. I don't know. I mean, so far so good, but you never know. Mm-hmm. So my kids always, and they still do it, literally since they're super small till now, they'll be like, hey, what could I possibly do to make you mad? I was like, bro, in theory, nothing, because anything you do is my fault. Like something I did or failed to do is like, it's kind of my fault. See what I'm saying? I was like, and they're like, what, really? What about? And they think of stuff. I was like, yeah, but you think you would ever do it? Like, they go, what if I stole something from the store? I was like, would you ever steal something from the store? They're like, no way. So it's kind of like, it's like one of those things. like I said, I don't know. Maybe I didn't think it fully through, but I've maintained it, and so far so good. Like and they kind of like trust me, you know, when they make a mistake or they do something they think is bad or what. Especially my daughter, like she'll be like, let's say she's on a group chat or something, and I'm like, oh, who are you talking to? And then she won't mention maybe one of the. This actually happened in the past. She didn't mention one of the people on the group chat just because I don't know. Maybe didn't. She believed that maybe I didn't want her to talking to this person. I don't know. Just her friends, whatever. Just her innocent mind, whatever. So she omitted that person, and then a few like hours later, she's like, she tells her mom, like, oh my gosh, I didn't tell Dad, I lied, and she's like all sad and guilty. I was like, actually, good on you, you know, for that, because like lying by omission is the actual thing. But she came on her own. It's not like Mom told me, and then I was like, hey, you didn't, you know, it wasn't that. You know, she kind of on her own freaking told on herself because she didn't feel right about it. Yeah, and it was like getting to her. Yeah. So I was like, all right, yeah, there you go.
It's funny. My kids would like tell me something, you know, something that was. You know, they went to a party and people were drunk or whatever, like, and they wouldn't tell necessarily their mom, my wife, Big H,
right?
You know, because she might be a little bit more hectic on
right.
Yeah, that's you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
But I would be like, oh yeah, you know, even to the point where I'd be like, oh, anyone throw up? You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, like, this girl threw up and she was like stumbling, and they would kind of tell me what was up. Yeah. And so that's because, you know, the trust, listen, respect, influence, and care. Yeah. And yeah, if you earn their trust, if you think you're earning their trust by freaking out when they tell you something, like that's not a good move.
Yeah.
Not a good move.
Yeah. Even like the day-to-day stuff where, and this is just what I noticed, and I'm not judging at all. And by no means am I saying I'm like the greatest parent, nothing like this. But like, you know, just your normal day-to-day telling your kids to do stuff, you know, whether it be chores or brush your teeth or, you know, it's bedtime, whatever, the normal stuff or whatever. Like, I feel like a lot of times I'll witness parents talk to the kids like kind of more mean than they would someone else, you know, like their friend or something. Like, well, if you're like, hey, take out that trash. That trash has been sitting there for a while. Like, would you ever talk to your friend, your neighbor, or like that, you know? Or would you just sort of nicely, politely remind them? Usually you'd probably politely remind your neighbor or your coworker or whatever. But meanwhile, you're yelling at your kids all crazy, you know?
Yep. The thing that's, I think, is very scary right now, it probably always has been scary, but not quite as scary, is if you don't have a good relationship with your kids are going to have a good relationship with someone or something else. Okay. Right now, the amount of brainwashing that is available through the interwebs is psychotic. It is truly psychotic. And some of the people, some of these kids that have been brainwashed, it's horrific to see. It's really, truly horrific to see. Look, dude, kids are going to do kid shit, right? And you got to recognize that kids are going to do kid shit. But if, you know, people can be absolutely manipulated. They're kids. They're 12. They're 15. They're 13. They're 18. They're 9. Those are impressionable brains. Yeah. So I haven't really had to deal. I didn't have to deal with it so much. You know, some of the horrific stories that you hear of kids being radicalized through online, you know, social media is really horrific to see. And if you don't have a good relationship, you probably won't see it until it's too late, as they say. Because there is a lot of evil out there, and kids are the victims, and kids are not just the victims. Kids are like they're the goal. It's the goal. It's the fertile ground. Is a kid. A 9-year-old kid, a 10-year-old kid, an 11-year-old kid, a 15-year-old kid. Those kids become radicalized, and it's horrific to see. And so if you're not building your kid, and you know what comes with a good relationship with your parents? Confidence. You get that value system. You kind of understand what's right and wrong. Like, all those things are so critical. And what's scary right now is, you know, if your kid is 9 years old in the 80s, they go out. Look, you can't monitor everything that they're doing, By the time they're, 13, 14, 15, like when I was 14 years old, I was going to New York City on my own, going to hardcore shows. Like I'm actually kind of surprised I did that shit. That my parents were like, oh, well, whatever. I mean, taking the train by myself to New York City and then going to freaking Hell's Kitchen, going to CBGB's, and there's, just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. At that time, man, you could. It was. I don't know if this exists, but when you would walk through Times Square, every 5 steps that you took, I'm not kidding. Someone would say coke, drugs, pot, weed, hookers. Like, I'm not kidding. It was freaking nuts, dude.
Yeah. How old are you at this zone?
This is the late 80s. So I'm in my teens, probably between the ages of, I was going down there before I could drive. So I'm 15 and under. And you if you don't have those kind of pre-standing values, then you go into the world and it can be problematic. But I had to be released to the world. Nowadays, the world is in your pocket. The world is in the computer. And so all this evil's out there trying to get into kids' heads, trying to lead them down a bad path. And it's very horrific to see. It's really horrific to see what kids can turn into. And it's funny because when in the 80s, right, this is when they had the what was it? Heavy metal was being, it's satanic and all this stuff. And it's evil and all that. And then they put the warnings on the record labels from Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, was this big thing, and explicit labels. And all that made was the kids like, okay, this is the album I want now.
We're fired up.
But think of they thought that like a song was gonna, manipulate a kid's brain. Right. Now you get a kid that is interacting with another human whose goal it is to manipulate people. Yeah. And I've been trying to find some better information on brainwashing. I think we did a couple underground episodes about brainwashing. Maybe I'll revisit some of those documents. But it's, when you see it, look, people can be convinced. Kids are in cults. When I was a kid, there was people that got into cults that I knew. And their parents had to go and get them, they would kidnap the kids back and get them deprogrammed. Right. Yeah, bro, deprogrammed. Yeah. This is scary. And it's probably happening at a scale now that is much, much larger than it used to be, once again, because back in the 80s, for me as a cult leader to find someone, I had to go and physically find them on the street somewhere. Now I can just access them through their phone. Yeah. So it's really disturbing. And we've got to be, this is why we have to build good relationships with your kids. Yeah. And your kids have to have the value. I got asked the other day on an interview, like, oh, this is kind of the standard kind of Jocko joke of like, hey, I can't imagine what you would do to a guy that was coming to date one of your daughters. Right. And you just, well, how would you treat someone? Or how did you treat someone like that? And I was like, well, quite frankly, my daughters can handle themselves. They have strong values. They're strong-minded, and they do jiu-jitsu. And I've told my girls since day one, I'm not always going to be there. So I don't have to look over your shoulder and make sure that you're being treated correctly. You will be treated correctly. And if you're not, you'll stand up for yourself. Mm-hmm. I said, so I don't have to guard my daughters. My daughters guard themselves. Mm. You want to get heel hooked? You want to get a straight knee locked? Mm. But that's the thing, is the way this is done is by developing those strong relationships. And by the way, this is what they're talking about with the Marines and the Army. When you have a Marine, an 18-year-old Marine, like what kind of relationship does he have with his platoon leader, with his platoon sergeant? And if his platoon sergeant is like, hey, we're Marines, we don't do this, we don't do that, we set the example, like all those things, bro, they're making the right decision out in town. Yeah. If their platoon sergeant is like, hey, we're Marines, we party, we drink, which, by the way, when I got to SEAL teams, that's what it was. Yeah. That's what we do. And I was like, okay, that's what we do. Yeah. I was like on board. I was brainwashed. Hey, like this is what we do. Okay, this is what we're doing. Yeah. That's what we're doing. We're getting drunk. We're going to party. That's what we're doing. Okay, that's what we're doing. Nope. So what you do when you build a relationship with your kids, get the right values in place. And again, am I saying that you necessarily need to force those values down their throat? And no. I will tell you the same thing that I told you about when I never had like a command philosophy like Seth had. And it's because people knew me. They already knew my reputation. They weren't going to be like, oh, are we going to train hard? Like, no, they knew it. And my kids was kind of the same way. I never like sat them down. I did have, I'll try and find it. I did have like a Way of the Willinks or something like that.
Hell yeah.
But it ended up being Way of the Warrior Kid. Like the Warrior Kid code is what that became. But I shouldn't say I never, even though I wrote that one time, like for my kids, but I wasn't like, hey, here's the rules and like the willing. I kind of wrote it and just like, hey guys, this is, I don't even know if I even freaking reviewed it to them. But they knew. Yeah. They knew like, oh, we need to get really good grades. I never said like, you need straight A's. No, they just did it. I never said, hey, you need to work hard. Never said that. They just did it. So
you have this, and you're actually a good example of this where, yeah, like shoving values down your kid's throat or whatever, like as you've said many times, like that's not how it works. And really put real simply, if you can provide an environment with consistent values displayed, what you're for and against, or should I say what you're against and for too. You can't just be like, hey, we're the Willinks, we don't do XYZ. Meanwhile, you're not really shedding light on what you do.
Or you're saying we don't do these things, but you're doing
exactly
them.
Right. Or sometimes doing them and sometimes not. You see what I'm saying? It's wishy-washy. But yeah, you don't have to have a list of values or whatever if you're living the list of values every single day. You see what I'm saying? So like, and this is usually how it works too, where like I know it is fun when you're talking about your girls where it's like, oh yeah, they might get heel hooked or whatever. That's usually not what it looks like. It's usually like when a guy will like enter their life that is like substandard to their values or whatever, they simply will steer clear of them naturally. They won't have to put on this big show of rejection. It's not that. They just like they don't gravitate towards people. It's like if me and you were cruising, right? We're walking, I don't know, down the street, we're going to some restaurant and we see some like homeless people doing drugs. We're not gonna be like, hey, let's go see what they're up to. That looks like that's fun. We're like, no, we're just gonna steer clear of the homeless people. You see what I'm saying? It's an extreme example of like how that works. So you get like any young girl with good, strong moral values or whatever, this bad boy, player dude or whatever, he's not really going to show up on her radar as an attractive thing. See what I'm saying? And even if he does by looks, like he immediately will go off the radar because it's like you just sort of steer clear. Because it's not like what you're attracted to in life.
You're right. And again, I want to restate this. I said that I never had like the command philosophy for my guys. I never really had like, hey, this is what we're doing, willing. Recite this code to me. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying I simply didn't do it. I think that I had, sort of a strong underlying tone in my existence. Consistent. Yeah. That said that. If I was listening to this podcast right now and I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, I would be like, oh, no. Okay, we're writing a code. I would get the Way of the Warrior Kid. I'd be like, okay, we're going to make this for us. And we're going to start to live it. Not to dictate it to your kids, not to cram it down their throat, but this is what we're doing. And when your kid goes, Daddy, why can't I get some ice cream? You don't say, because that's against the code. You go, well, let's talk about what that does to your long term. And if you really want ice cream tonight, you can get ice cream tonight. Cool. But let's think about, living it and being able to convey it in a way that makes sense. This is just good. That's what I would recommend. And the consistent part is huge. I remember a long time, I forget what this, we were talking about something. Sarah Armstrong was like consistency. As she's her parents or her kids are adults like mine, but that's one thing that she talked about was, hey, it's about consistency. It's kind of like training a dog. You know what I mean? Like with a dog, you let that, if your dog's not allowed to go past a certain point in the yard and you correct them 7 times, generally speaking, they won't do it anymore. If you correct them once and they go and they get away with it, and then you correct them again and they get away with it again, they're not trained. So being consistent and letting the kids see that you live this way is extremely important. And when you fall short of it, another thing, when you fall short of it, you need to own it and explain that you're sorry that you let them down, that you're sorry your behavior was, you shouldn't have been doing whatever it is that you were doing. If you lose your temper with your kids, you need to explain, you need to apologize. This is bad stuff. Yeah. When you do things that are wrong, you need to own it. And I think that that's the reason that I put the code in the Warrior Kid book, is because people need a code. That's why I wrote the code, the evaluation, the protocol with Dave Burke and Sarah Armstrong. The reason I did that is because the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I wrote the kids book, but humans need a code. Yeah. They need a code, because once you have it, then you go, okay, wait a second. Is this for real? But it's important that you've got to understand the why. You got to understand, you can't just say, we keep our room clean. You can't just say that. Right. You need to say, we keep our room clean and ready for action. And the reason we do that, this might not be in the code, but you say, and the reason we do that is, here's some mistakes that you can make. Here's why having a dirty room can trip you up. What if the firefighters come and there's a fire in the house and they're coming in through the window to rescue you and they trip over something and fall down and now all of a sudden they can't get you out of there? There's a reason for this. So there's got to be a why. It's kind of like standard operating procedures. You have a platoon, you have standard operating procedures. You just can't impose them on people. They got to have the understanding of why this standard operating procedure exists. So even though I'm telling you, I did not write a code for, my platoon or for my task unit or even really for my family, I strongly recommend that you do it. Kind of like in this thing, they write out what is your command philosophy and explain it. Like, explain to your kids, hey guys, when you make a mistake, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to, punish you out of anger, but there will be consequences, especially if these following things are broken. And they should know. They should know what the limitations are. They should know what they can and cannot get away with. And there's some lines. There should be some red lines. Like if you cross this line, your whole world is going to change. Which is something I told my kids. There was a couple lines. And I actually only told that to my son. It was like a couple lines that if you cross these lines, in fact, I swore at him. When he was like, I never swore in front of my kids. Never swore in front of my kids. I never swore in front of my wife or kids. I use past tense because now, they're adults. And so I'll swear in front of them now. But, at a certain point, I told my son, like, hey, if this thing happens, your whole fucking world is going to change.
How old was he?
He was probably 13. Right around the time frame where your world, you can make really bad decisions.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think he understood that in no uncertain terms. Like,
so far,
you have a good, that's another thing, is like, you've heard me say, treat your kids like adults as much as you can. Yeah. And I treated my kids like adults, even when they were 12, 13. Okay, I trust you. You go out, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Sleepover, party, whatever, 15, party, beach, like, drinking, like that's all that stuff is happening. Okay, you can do it. I trust you. You trust me. So important stuff to think about. Back to these traits here. Unselfishness. Clearly, if you're selfish as a leader, you're going to be looked down upon. Loyalty, displaying faithfulness to your country, the core, your unit, your seniors, your subordinates, and your peers. Displaying enthusiasm in carrying out an order, although you may privately disagree with it. Again, you got to be careful with that one. You got to be careful because they'll see it. What you really should do is ask the question why up the chain of command, and you're going to realize that you're doing it for a reason. Because the amount of times that I always bring up, whoa, you get ordered to do something dumb. The amount of times I was actually ordered to do something dumb was minuscule. Minuscule. My bosses were always like, well, hold on a second. What did you say? And I said, well, it's this, and this. And here's the secondary effects, and here's the tertiary. They're like, oh, didn't see that. Okay, cool. Jocko, go ahead and do what you want. That's most of the time. Most of the time. Yeah, can you do something that's like, hey, guys, this is going to suck, but here's why we're doing it. Hey, we got to go do this thing again, but guess what? It's because the whole battalion screwed this up, and now we got to do a repeat. We don't want to skip out. Does anyone here want to look like the people that said, hey, we don't want to work hard tonight? No, of course not. We're Marines. We're going to go do this. Boom. think this is the last thing we're going to get into is leadership principles. And these are stuff that we've covered before. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. Evaluate yourself by leadership traits. Determine your strengths and weaknesses. Achieve self-improvement by reading and observing. Ask your friends and seniors for an honest evaluation of your leadership. This will help you to know your weaknesses and strengths. Important. Be technically and tactically proficient. Of course, know your job. Again, these are stuff we've covered before. Know your Marines. Look out for their welfare. This is one of the most important principles. Might be the most important principle. You should know your Marines and how they react to different situations. A Marine who is nervous and lacks self-confidence should never be put in a situation where an important instant decision must be made. Knowledge of your Marines' personalities will enable you as a leader to decide how to best handle each Marine and to determine when to closely supervise each. So put your Marines' welfare before your own, of course. Determine what your Marines' mental attitudes are. Keep in touch with their thoughts. Encourage individual development. Share the hardships of your Marines so that you can better understand their reactions. Check. Keep your Marines informed. Marines by nature are inquisitive. Explain the why. Detect the spread of rumors and stop them by replacing them with the truth. Build morale and esprit de corps by publicizing information concerning successes of your unit. Yes, set the example. Set the example. As a Marine leader, your duty is to set the standards for your Marines by personal example. Your appearance, attitude, physical fitness, and personal example are all watched by Marines in your unit. If your personal standards are high, then you can rightfully demand the same of your Marines. If your personal standards are not high, you are setting a double standard for your Marines, and you will rapidly lose their respect and confidence. Remember, your Marines reflect your image. Leadership is taught by example. There you go. Be physically fit, well-groomed, and correctly dressed. Do not expose your personal habits to criticism. I'm not quite sure. There's a couple other ones in here, but do not expose your personal habits to criticism. I think what that means is don't do shit that is open to criticism. Like if you're acting like a drunk idiot, it's not good. If you're falling out of runs, it's not good. You know, and it's saying personal habits. So whatever, like you're missing your car payment and your car's getting repoed. Like, bro, that ain't looking good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exercise initiative to promote the spirit of initiative in your Marines. Avoid over supervision. Number 6, ensure that the task is understood, supervised, and accomplished. This principle is necessary to exercise command. Before you can expect your Marines to perform, they must know first what is expected of them. You must communicate your instructions in a clear, concise manner. Boom. The most important part of this principle is to accomplish the mission. Otherwise, all leadership, supervision, and guidance in the world are wasted. You got to get the job done. Train your Marines as a team. Teamwork is the key to successful operations. Teamwork is essential. From the smallest to the largest element in the entire Marine Corps, as a company commander, you must insist on teamwork from your Marines. Train, play, and operate as a team. Be sure that each Marine knows his position and responsibilities within the team framework. Reward and discipline the team. Never publicly blame an individual for the team's failure, nor praise one individual for the team's success. Good. Number 8, make sound and timely decisions. Consider the advice and suggestions of your subordinates whenever possible. Develop a sense of responsibility among your subordinates. Another way to show your Marines that you are interested in their welfare is to give them the opportunity for professional development. Assigning tasks and delegating authority to accomplish tasks promotes mutual confidence and respect between the leader and the subordinates. Also makes a note, operate through the chain of command. Give your Marines frequent opportunities to perform duties usually performed by the next higher ranks. Let's give people an elevated chance. Let Marines know that you will accept honest errors without punishment in return. Check. Resist the urge to micromanage. Don't give restrictive guidance, which destroys initiative. Assign Marines positions according to demonstrated or potential ability. Good. Number 10, employ your command according to its capabilities. Successfully completing a task depends on how well you know your unit's capabilities. Assigning a task that your unit has not been trained to do will result in failure. Failures lower your unit's morale, self-esteem, and confidence. Seek out challenging tasks for your unit, but be sure your unit is prepared for and has the ability to successfully complete the mission. important. Sometimes I'll get asked, I got bad morale in my team or whatever. And, how can I improve morale? Win. And even winning small things, look, not stupid things, but small things, right. It's okay. If you do that, you'll make some progress. And over time, you can take on bigger challenges and you'll be all right. And this is the last one that we're going to cover. Seek responsibility and take responsibility for your actions. I think there's a book about that.
Yeah, I hear good things.
You are responsible for all that your unit does or fails to do. You are responsible for the decision and its application regardless of your subordinates' actions. You must issue all orders in your name. Stick by your convictions and do what you think is right, but accept justified criticism. Never remove or demote a subordinate for a failure resulting from your own mistake. It's important. And just remember, stick by your convictions doesn't mean keep doing the same thing when it's not working. Learn the duties of your immediate senior. Be prepared to accept responsibilities for these duties. Take every opportunity that offers increased responsibility. That's a rough one. Perform every act, large or small, to the best of your ability. Stand up for what you believe is right. Have the courage of your convictions. That doesn't mean close your mind. That doesn't mean don't listen to people. In fact, I would add a caveat. Try and understand other people's perspectives. Because what you believe is right might not be right. Carefully evaluate a subordinate's failure before taking action. Ensure that the apparent shortcomings are not due to an error on your part. They probably are. They work for you. You're the boss. Take ownership. Consider Marines that are available. Salvage one if possible. Replace when necessary. You don't always just get a new Marine. In a SEAL platoon, you fire a SEAL, you're probably not getting a replacement. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You can't count on it. In the absence of orders, take the initiative and to perform the actions that you believe your senior would direct you to perform if you were present. And then closing it out, here's the summary. These leadership principles are proven guidelines which, if followed, will substantially enhance your ability to lead Marines. Remember, by implementing these principles, you will earn the respect of your fellow Marines, juniors, and seniors, and you will become an effective commander. So, there you go. Anything we have not heard before? I don't really think so. Why do we need to keep hearing it over and over again? That's the question. The answer to that is because it's against our instincts. Yeah. Our instincts are telling us to do the opposite. Blame other people. Work in silos. That's what our instincts are telling us to do. Leadership is counterintuitive. So we have to pay attention. It's a good guide. This is a little guidebook. Kind of let you know, little reminders. Reminder to pay attention and do what you're supposed to do. Not what you want to do. Not what feels good. Not what seems right. Not what you can convince yourself of. Not what you can debate with yourself about. Not what you can rationalize. Do what you're supposed to do. Do what you're supposed to do. That's how we're leading. Also part of leadership. We heard it a couple times today. Physical fitness.
It's true, bro. It's true.
Man, you got to be physically fit. It should be your number one strategic goal in your life. Does that sound crazy?
To me, that does not sound crazy, no.
The number one strategic goal of your life should be to be healthy as you can.
Yeah.
It needs to be. Because once we lose that, now look, does that mean that every season of your life it's going to be the number one thing? Nope. There might be 3 weeks where, work is consuming or kid gets sick or there's something you got to do. I mean, I got a friend that had a very sick daughter and he, physically wasn't able to do anything for months. He was explaining it to me. It's awful. But that's what you do. You take care of your family. So are there going to be seasons? Yep. Where the strategic priority becomes taking care of your daughter? Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you get through that, guess what? Get back on the path. You got to get back on the path. The health, again, I'm going to quote RFK Jr. A healthy person has 1,000 problems. A sick person only has one. So if you want to contend with the world, all the problems that we have in the world, all the things that we got to do in the world, you got to contend with all those things. You got to be healthy. So that means, guess what? We're getting after it. We're lifting. We're running. We're sprinting. We're training the jiu-jitsu. We're just generally getting after it. That's what we're doing. And when we do that, Echo Charles, is there anything specific that we need?
Some fuel.
We need fuel. Hey, check out Jocko Fuel. We have everything that you need. We got protein. We got the best tasting protein. Yep. We got the most efficacious protein. We got protein that tastes like dessert. We got the best energy drinks that are clean and healthy. We got hydration. We got supplementation. We got everything that you need. Creatine. Get on the creatine train. Get on. Someone just hit me up on social media. They doubled their creatine dosage. They're getting into my zone.
Hell yeah.
No, they doubled their creatine dosage and they're in half my zone.
Okay. So I'm doing my zone.
Yeah. What are you doing? 10 grams a day?
Yeah.
Morning, night?
Morning.
Two scoops in the morning. Dry scoop?
No.
Mixed with hydrate?
No, mixed with hydrate, water, some other good stuff.
The Muscle Drive? Do you have Muscle Drive?
No, not yet.
You got to get on the Muscle Drive. No. Muscle Drive it's very interesting. It's very helpful. One thing that kind of, especially for me, because a lot of times I'm not hungry in the morning, right? Yeah. But I know my body needs a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, me too.
That Muscle Drive is good to go, and it gives you. It's like satiating. Oddly enough, sure. It's kind of makes you. Your body goes, "Oh, cool, thank you. We're good for a little bit."
Right.
We're good for a little bit.
Curbs the hunger.
For weight cutting, got some folks weight cutting. Obviously, we have a gym where we compete, and people are cutting weight, and that Muscle Drive has been clutch.
Yeah,
clutch. I was talking to Nate, and he was like, he's been cutting some weight, and he was like, good to go. Yeah. Maintain the strength, cut the weight. So Muscle Drive, we got all kinds of great products. So available kind of anywhere right now. But if it's not available at the store that you go to, well, ask them for it. And in the meantime, also, jockofuel.com. You can just order it. We'll ship it to your house. We got an amazing logistics team, and they will get it to you ASAP. Usually ships same day, by the way.
Right on. Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's kind of crazy. The Jocko Fuel team, there's so much data gets analyzed.
Sure. Yeah, that's how.
I know, on a daily basis, usually I get the report on a Fridays, but every day the logistics team knows how many packages to ship are outstanding that day. And it's like, oh yeah, we got 7 packages that didn't go out. They're going out first thing because of whatever. Yeah. But you're shipping thousands of packages. Like, oh yeah, we got 7 that didn't ship. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
So the logistics team, jockofuel.com, they'll get you what you need. They'll get it to you stat.
Oh yeah.
Also, since we are training, and we're training jiu-jitsu, hopefully, originusa.com. We've got jiu-jitsu gis, jiu-jitsu rash guards, jiu-jitsu shorts. We got everything. But not only that, you're not training jiu-jitsu all the time, unfortunately. We're also going to the restaurant with our spouses.
Sure.
You're going to need jeans. Origin USA jeans. Made in America.
For husband and wife, by the way.
Husband and wife. Husband and wife. We got everything that you need. Hoodies, T-shirts, everything 100% made in America. No communism. This is an American-owned company. This is made in America. This is the material that the shirts are made of is American. The zippers are American. The buttons are American. The strings it's all American. It's 100% American made. This is what we're doing. We're rebuilding the manufacturing capability in America. We're rebuilding the economy in America, and we're rebuilding the communities in America. So go to originusa.com and get yourself some American-made goods. Freedom. Let's go.
Yeah, shout out to those little, what are those, the dry fit kind of hoodies that you get?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys call those? Burr. Yeah. Bro, that's like a everyday scenario.
Yeah. Everyday scenario / I have one of those at all times with me.
Yeah.
So when I travel, I have one in my bag. It's real small. I have that, and I have the wind shirt.
Yeah.
That thing goes with me wherever I go. You can survive 90% of such scenarios that you'll encounter in the continental United States with that right there.
Bro, I'm so with you. Yeah. So you called it the wind shirt?
Yeah, called it wind shirt. I forget the technical name for it.
Okay, so is that the jacket? It's like a jacket, the zipper, right?
Yes,
and the hood?
Yes,
okay, bro, I'm 100% with you. Bro, because it fits anywhere. Bro, you can put it in your pocket if you need to, yeah. Bro, that thing's so clutch.
And the reason that's one of the first things that we made, like outerwear, and when we started reviewing, like, hey, what are we going to make? I was like, hey, we got to make a wind shirt. The reason I knew that is because when I was in the teams back in the day, I would carry that wind shirt with me because it saved me. Yeah. It saved me. You're getting this because when you cut that wind out, bro,
right, you're kind of
GTG. And look, if it's a torrential rain, it's not waterproof.
Yeah,
but you know, like the light rain that you're going to get that you can seek shelter from.
Yeah,
you know, you'll be okay. Yeah. But the wind. Sometimes we get in situations you can't escape the wind, you know? So you got to break that thing out. And then when you have that little, and I'll tell you what just kind of made it into my arena, and this is kind of an admission on my part.
Sure.
Because you remember I used to hassle you about the lightweight hoodies.
Yes.
Well, that stealth wool shirt is clutch. And once again, it's way smaller than like a hoodie because it's just thinner.
Yeah.
But that stealth wool is GTG. So I have one of them has little buttons on it.
Yeah.
There's a name. There's like a special name for it.
I don't know that.
And then there's one of them that just has a hood.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're really good to go.
Yep.
Good to go.
Yeah, I'm so with you.
We got some stuff for you. OriginUSA.com, 100% communist free.
It's true. Also, don't forget about Jocko Store. You know, you want to represent T-shirts. We got some hoodies on there as well. Summertime is about to end soon in a month, whatever. Either way, we got something for you. Discipline equals freedom. Represent. Good. Represent. Stand by to get some. That's a little sleeper. A lot of people been like, they see that one, they grab down too.
Check.
Don't forget. And also Get After It. That's a good one. It's a real good one. Got a new Get After It. Well, it's kind of old, a few months old, but available nonetheless. Also, the Short Locker subscription scenario, new design every month. This month I got a fun one. You got to check out the website to see what it is. Yeah, new design every month. It's called the Short Locker.
Teasing everyone. You got to check out the website.
Building
give us a
anticipation.
Brief description for it.
If you're Generation X, you're gonna know. You're gonna know. You're gonna be happy.
That's not even remotely close to a description.
Yeah, it's a hint.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Either way, it is available on jockostore.com.
Check. Also, we got some books. Put Your Legs On by Rob Jones. Need to Lead by Dave Burke. Extreme Ownership. Dichotomy of Leadership. Leadership Strategy and Tactics. Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. And Way of the Warrior Kid. Mikey and the Dragon. We got everything for you. So check that out. Also, ColoradoCraftBeef.com. If you need steak, which you do, go to ColoradoCraftBeef.com and get the best steak that you can find here in America. EchelonFront.com. We teach leadership principles. You heard a lot about them today. We teach them. We bring them inside your organization. We help you with the problems that you have through leadership. So check out EchelonFront.com. Also, ExtremeOwnership.com. This is our online training academy for leadership skills. Check out ExtremeOwnership.com if you want to get engaged with that. And if you want to help service members, active and retired, you want to help their families, you want to help Gold Star families, check out Mark Lee's mom, Mama Lee. She's got an amazing charity organization. If you want to donate or you want to get involved, go to americasmightywarriors.org. Also check out heroesandhorses.org. And then Jimmy May's organization, beyondthebrotherhood.org, got a swim going in New York City. So if you want to get involved with that, go and check out beyondthebrotherhood.org. And then, of course, there's warriorsinneed.org, taking our aviation field from the military and getting you into the civilian sector. 30,000 jobs waiting. So get engaged with that. If you want to connect with us, check out Jocko.com. And then on social media, I'm at Jocko Willink. Echo's at Echo Charles. Just watch out for this freaking stupid algorithm and the stupid people that are trying to, well, they're not. The people, they're not stupid. They're trying to brainwash you. Trying to brainwash. Look, I talked about kids. They're trying to brainwash me. Trying to brainwash Echo Charles. They're definitely trying to brainwash all of us. Even if the brainwashing is merely to just stay there longer and look at more stupid shit, they're in there. So it's a monster. Don't let it get you. Thanks to all of our service members that are deployed around the world right now. They're in harm's way. Clearly, we've been taking casualties. It's awful to see, but we thank you for executing the missions that you're on. and security and stability for America. We thank you for your sacrifices and thanks for what you do. Also, thanks to our police, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, dispatchers, correctional officers, Border Patrol, Secret Service, as well as all other first responders. Thanks for what you do to protect us here at home. And everyone else out there, just remember some of these lessons from the Marine Corps. 250 years they've been gathering these lessons. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to how you act. Set the standard. Control your tempo, Echo Charles.
Yes, sir.
Keep your word. Own your mistakes. Be on time. Be physically and mentally prepared. Don't complain. Don't complain. Always improve. These are the things we need to do. And if you keep these thoughts front of mind, if you don't get pulled off the path by your lizard brain, which is constantly like, it's not a lizard, it's a Komodo dragon. It might even just be a straight up dragon.
Sure.
And it's trying to grab a hold of you and get you to, eat a donut, get you to scroll it more, get you to lose your temper. It's all doing all those things. Modern distractions. It's trying to employ your emotions, trying to employ your ego. Just keep the real elements of being a good person and a good leader front of mind. And if you do that, you can lead yourself. And then you can lead others. And that's all we've got for tonight. And until next time, this is Echo and Jocko out.